Great. Let me know what's your structure for the profitability, and you can start and then walk me through your method and calculation.
Okay, absolutely. So first it would be seats, and divide that by 20 seats, and then 20 seats. Okay, so in the first exhibit, we are given the number of seats per flight, and now we have the average number of seat fill rate per flight. So I can take the number of seats and find out how many seats are filled per so that's the number of tickets we would sell.
Yeah.
With that, I would then take a look at the route financials per filled seat. So using the information we have here in the exhibit, I'd be able to calculate between, for example, route 1, there's 1 cent per mile. That is, and then ultimately with that number, I'd like to divide that by the number of miles traveled per route to ultimately receive the profit that would be gained for each route one way. And then with that, we have...
Yeah, just don't forget. So for example, the route 1, the 1 cent revenue, the 1 cent profit is per ASM.
Right.
So I already told you the ASM definition.
Oh, I see. Thank you. Okay. So I don't need to do the whole seats available number of miles thing. Okay. So from that, I could just go ahead and take the number of...
But we want to know the total profitability.
Right.
So now you know the profitability per ASM. Then how to get the
Right. So if I can first have a little piece of information, how many days per year does this airline operate? Because we operate a certain round trips per day, but how many days does do these routes operate?
Yeah, we take it the number as 300 days.
300 days per year. Great. That'll be really helpful. Okay. So let me just get together the information that I have. So we have for route 1, route 2, and route 3. Each operate 300 days per year. I'm first going to find out how many seats will be filled, and then multiply by the profit that would be gained by each route per seat filled, and then multiply that by the days per year. I'll take that profit and use what I get, with this being an annual figure, to find an annual figure, and then finally compare that to the upfront cost to ultimately find the payback period that it would be to pay back the initial investment, and then of course from there it will return a profit.
A quick question, just to make sure we're aligned about the ASM definition. Do you know how to calculate ASM?
Right. So ASM being the number of seats available times the number of miles.
Yes.
For ASM. So this is the profit per ASM. Okay, and so I would multiply by the number of seats and then multiply again by the number of miles to get the profit. Is that right? Because it's per ASM.
Sorry, could you repeat that again?
Yeah, sure. So I would calculate the profit per per seat, and then for the number of I calculate the profit per seat, and then we have the number of seats available, which we would get from the flight, we would get from the number of
But how could you know the profit per seat?
Right. So it would be converting profit per seat. It would be multiplying by the number of seats per
That's
plane.
I mean just focus on the number you see here. It's the route financial.
I see. Yeah.
It's ASM.
Yeah, per ASM. Okay. And so we have the route financial per ASM, and we have per route the number of seats per plane, and we have per route the number of miles traveled. So multiplying the profit I would get, multiplying this ASM figure right here, or the profit per ASM, I'd multiply by the seats available per plane, multiply that by the miles traveled, and then multiply that by the fill rate to ultimately receive the profit per route. Does that? I think that's a good way to go about it.
Yeah, please
So
go.
great, thank you. So we have route one with the profit per ASM to be 1 cent per number seat and number mile. And route two being a profit of 0.22 minus 0.09, which is 20 minus 7, so it's 13 cents per mile. So, excuse me, 13 cents per number of seats per number of miles. And for route 3, it would be 6 cents per ASM. Okay. So with that, that's the profit per seat per ASM. We have the number of seats for the first route to be 240 seats. The second route to be 120 seats, and the third route 120 seats. And we have the number of miles traveled per route per day to be, we calculated 280 miles traveled for the first route because it's 1,400 miles with a round trip. So that's 2,800 miles traveled. And the second route has a number of miles of 1,200 miles. And the third route has 1,100 miles. And so that will ultimately give me the profit per day of each route. I think that's a good way to go about it. I just want to check in with you. Does that seem like a good approach?
Yes.
Great. So I'll just do this quick calculation. 240 times 280, that would be 56, and then that would be 4 times 120, 4 times 8, 7, 2, 2. Great. So that would be around 600. Do you think it'd be okay to round from 240 to 250 and 2,800 to 3,000? Do you think that'd be a fair estimate?
So just quick question, make sure we're aligned. So, what are you calculating?
Right. So I'm calculating per day the profit that would be made in each route by multiplying the ASM profit by the number of seats and miles traveled per day of each flight, and then finally the percent fill rate, the seat fill rate, to get the profit per day for each route.
So at this moment, you already have profit per ASM for 3 routes, right? You already
Yeah.
have the number, right?
Yeah.
For next step, do you want to calculate ASM for each route?
Yeah, the ASM per route. And so would that be the number of seats per plane times the number of miles traveled?
Yes.
Great. So for the first route, the ASM would be the 240 seats that the flight carries in its plane, multiplied by the 2,800 miles that would be traveled per day with a one round trip. And one way being 1,400 miles. I just want to check that figure really quick to see if right. So in this first exhibit, is the 1,400 miles a one-way travel, or is that a no, it would be one way. It would be one way. So the total round trip would be 2,800 miles. So I want to quickly do this calculation. 240, 2, 3, 6, 9, 48, 2, 2, 1. So about, this is 6, 1, 2, 1. That'd be 6. So times 0.1. That would be 6,000. For the first route, it would be about $6,000 dollars of profit per day for the first route, because we have the number of seats times the number of miles multiplied by the 1 cent profit per ASM. For the second route, we have the 120 seats times 1,200 miles. So I'm going to multiply 1,200 miles with 100, and then add another 20. So that would be it'd be 24,000. And so the profit per day times 13 cents, it would be 144,123, and it would be 13 times that. So I'm on both sides of that. So it would be, let's walk you through it. It would be a total of 144,000 ASM for route 2, multiplied by the 13 cents per mile. So that would be 4 times 13 would be 21314 2432. And then the 1 would be 1442781. And then we have the great. Great. So that would be the 1,900. Is that right? Yeah, 1,000. 1, 2, 3. Great. Yeah, it would be. Just checking my math really quick. 4,423 times 0.13 times. Great, that'd be 13. And then it would be the 8. Oh, so I have the 144,000 ASM times the 0.13 dollars per ASM. So I'm trying to do that calculation. 0.13 ASM.
So you're calculating the route to ASM.
Yeah.
ASM.
The route to ASM is 144,000. Is that the ASM for route 2? I think
144,000. I mean, that's not very close. So for route 2, so for number of seats, what's the number of seats?
120.
Yeah, and the average percent filled is
right. Oh yeah, I'll get to that I'll get to that soon. I just wanted to first calculate the profit per ASM, because it will be eventually 60% of a fill rate. And so yeah, it would be.
Yeah, it's actually the ASM, the definition is the average number of passenger multiple the average flight distance.
Oh,
So
the
the
number of
passenger
per filled, okay, per filled seat, right? Okay, per filled seat. So the first one would be, okay, so for filled seat, the 90% of 240, that would mean that there's 24 less seats. So there's 216 seats filled. Yeah, there's 216 filled seats in the first route, and 120 seats in the second route would be 60%. So I'm going to divide 60 seats. I'm going to divide by half. So that's 60 plus another 12. So that's 72 seats filled for the second route. And for the third route, there's 80% seats filled. So I'm going to multiply 120 divided by 5, which is 24 seats times 4, which is 96 seats filled. 96 seats filled. Okay. Great. Okay. So in the first route, we have 1 cent per ASM. We have 216 seats filled, right, per filled seat. And then we have 2,800 miles. And that will ultimately give us the profit per day.
I mean,
So,
the mark for the first route, if my memory is correct, is 1,400.
right. I multiplied by 2. I guess I didn't have to do that because it's just one round trip. Wait, so just to make sure, so it would be per flight. It would be per flight. Okay. Would we multiply by 2 because a round trip goes one way and then comes back?
No, we don't.
Okay, we don't. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Right. So, okay, I'll just redo my calculation for the first route. Let's see. Redo my calculation for the first route. So for route 1, we have 1 cent.
You are correct about the round trip. There is a back and forth, but
Mhm.
that's number of the flight, and which is not associated with ASM.
Okay. Yeah, it's a number. Yeah. So first I'll calculate the profit um per um per one flight, and then multiply that by the number of flights per day. Okay. So we have the 1 cent ASM, 8 ASM times the 216 seats. So that's 2.16 multiplied by the 1,400 miles. So 216 times 14, 2680, So about 3,000. The first one is 3,000. Right, it still is 3,000 for one flight. And for route 2, we have the 13 cents per ASM multiplied by the 72 seats. So that's 72, 62, 7, 1, 2, 9. It would be 936. So I'll just round that to 1,000. Round that to 1,000 and then multiply that by the length of the first route, length of the route, which is 550 miles. 550 miles. Oh, it would be 10 times 150. Okay, so that's 5,500. And for the third route, we have 6 cents per ASM times around from 96 to 100 seats times 1,100 miles. So that's 6 times 1,100. So that's 6,600. 6,600 per trip. So from that, we know that because in the first route from Seattle to Minneapolis, it's one round trip per day. So that's 2 flights. So it would be $6,000 per day. And with the second route, we have again one. Okay, wait. I think I mixed up my numbers. Route 2 is 72 seats multiplied by. Okay, I got mixed up. We have the 13 cents from Fayetteville to Dallas, and we have 550 miles times 100. Okay, great. So that actually is right. So we have one round trip per day. So that's 110 $11,000 per day for route 2. And then for route 3, we have 3 round trips per day. So that would be multiplied by 6. So that would be because there's six trips per day. So that would be 396. 6 trips per day. So that'd be 40,000, around 40,000. $40,000 per day. And so ultimately multiplying that by 300 days per year traveled. The first route would be 218 would be $1.8 million a year per year. And for the second route with 300, that would be 1, 2, 3. It would be $3.3 million per year. Finally, for the last one, it would be 40,000 times 300. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. That'd be $12 million per year. So taking what we have so far, we have finally going back, we have the upfront cost. Upfront cost of, okay. So we have the upfront costs.
So have you already got the profitability number?
Yeah, so profitability number for the first route per year is 1. But that's the profit before the upfront cost. So so for the first year of route 1, because the upfront cost is 1.2 million, we would make a profit of 0.6 million the first year. Even though there is a right, there's a 3 months period. So right, so in the first year, the first route will make 0.6 million in the first year. In the second year, it would make 1.8 million, and in the third year for the payback, it would make another 1.8 million. And for route 2, the first route, it would be 6.5 million of an upfront cost. So it would take until the second year to make 0.1 million in the second year. And in the third year, it would make another 3.3 million. So overall, at the end of 3 years, the profit would be 3.4 million.
So what are you calculating actually?
I'm calculating within 3 years how much profit will be made by implementing each route. So by taking the profit per year that was calculated in the 4th exhibit using the profit per ASM.
Yeah, actually, I mean, actually, our client is more concerned about the payback period.
Right.
So just know what is the payback.
Thank you. Right, so the payback period for the first investment, which would be the $1.2 million over 3 months. Well, $1.2 million of payback period would be initial investment of $1.2 million, plus the $1.8 million profit per year, means that in the 1.2 million would initially be made up in it would be made up 3, right? It would be made up 2/3 into the year. So the payback period for the first route would be 8 months. And for second route, the initial upfront cost is 6.5 million. And with 3.4 million made per year, that means it would essentially be 2 years that the payback period for the second route. And finally, for the third route, the initial investment was 6.5 million. 6.5 million, and we make $12 million per year profit for the third route. And so for the third route, it would essentially be a little over 6 months. So just to be clean, I'll make it 7 months. 7 months payback period. So finally bringing this all together, we have the first piece of information, which was the quickest payback period that the most attractive route for our client to implement is the third route due to its fastest payback period of 6 months, 7 months, as well as its medium potential for growth. And however, the time to establish operations is 12 months for the third route. So it would actually be added on top. So it would be 19 months for the first route. For the third route, the first route would take 11 months, and the second route would be another 2 months. So 2 months, which would be 2 years. So 2.6 around 1.86, right? So actually, the first route is the one that would get a payback period as soon as possible, which would be 11 months. However, yeah, actually it would be, however, low potential for growth and high competition, but as well fast. It would actually turn out that the first route would have the fastest payback period of 11 months. The second route would have a payback period of 2 years. It's over 2 years. And the third route would have around 1.5 years. So taking this all into consideration, with route one having the lowest potential for growth and the highest competition, it looks like it would be even despite this fastest payback period, is considerable. With route two, we have high, right? So it looks like all three routes have a potential for being attractive. However, I'd like to take route three ultimately, due to its 1.5 years, which is half the 3-year regular payback period, as well as its if I were to rank the routes, the route research, the priorities for each route, I would say that the potential for growth is the least important due to its 5-year increase. The risk of flight disruption to be important, and but the competition for route to be high. So in the end, I think that they would like to increase profitability as soon as possible. So in reality, the first route would possibly be the best option due to its quickest payback period, its low risk for flight disruption, low time to establish operations, however, a high competition for route. Yeah, it looks like any of the three routes. It looks like any of the three routes are a good option. However, because the objective is to increase profitability as soon as possible, it looks like the fastest payback period would be the first route. So that would be my suggestion for our client, is to pursue the first route from Seattle to Minneapolis and back. That's my takeaway.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, so do you want to continue this case, because we have only one last part of a brainstorm? If you don't
Okay.
want, we can stop here and review the
Yeah. I'm just curious what the brainstorm would be is like, how to approach the competition per round.
Yeah,
I'm really
do the
similar.
brainstorm, finish the brainstorm and recommendation in the next 5 minutes, okay?
Okay,
So
okay.
our client has identified that attracting business traveler will be key to their long-term success. So please brainstorm some ideas on how your client can increase business travelers in the next 3 years.
Great. So the business travel in the next 3 years, I'd like to take just 10 seconds to come up with a bucket, if that's all right.
Yeah, just let me know what from the top of your head, what's in your.
Okay, sure. So for business travel, I mean, I looked at for one, the experience, because just what business travels would value the most. Because they would travel often, I imagine that they would like to be comfortable, especially if they work business class. So improving the quality of training our flight attendants to be more congenial and perhaps offering more drinks, such as more drinks or more comfortable seats, and in-flight service for our clients, for our business travelers, and as well, we can offer them more perks for perhaps boarding the plane earlier or more comfortable seating at the airports, and as well, whether there can be some in-flight packages that could be included with their ticket, such as a TV on board or Wi-Fi that they can work on the plane, and other.
What else?
Great. And beyond that, beyond that, perhaps financially, we can offer them points or a point system that our business travel, because they'll be traveling so much. Perhaps we can partner with a credit card company to allow them to rack up points on certain credit cards. And as well, we can financially give them perks like discounts or like a travel lounge that they can spend time in. Great. Okay. So from there, yeah, those are implementing the first route from Seattle to Minneapolis, would be the route I would recommend the most for our client. And um, as well, including some of these business travelers incentives for them to join our airline would be the recommendation I would make to our client.
So what could you repeat your recommendation?
Right, right. So in regards to increasing profitability as soon as possible, within as soon as possible and to achieve a positive operating margin, I recommend our client to pursue investing in the Seattle to Minneapolis route, due to its
I
into
know.
the
I mean, so we're still in the brainstorm
right,
part.
right.
Are the way
Okay.
to attract business customers. You're talking about some financial perks,
Mhm.
some seat and entertainment improvement. What else?
Right, and then as well, so financial perks, entertainment, improved service for, better trained flight attendants that could attend their needs more. So beyond the financial perks and enjoyment on the flight, um, perhaps we can give them complimentary drinks and Wi-Fi on board so that they can work on the plane. And so those would be, and then as well a point system online for them to rack up points and ultimately receive even more perks down the line. And so for they could receive discounts on future flights or even get flights that are paid by their loyalty points system that they rack up.
Yeah, sure. So the CEO just jump into the um jump into the office. So let could you give them a short wrap up for what we have been doing?
Absolutely. So just take a quick moment to bring my thoughts together. Seattle, okay. Payback period of 11 months. Great. So in our client's objective of increasing profitability and operation margin as soon as possible, and to receive a payback period also as soon as possible within 3 years, I would recommend to invest in introducing a new route from the Seattle to Minneapolis airports. This is due to our calculation that its payback period would be the fastest for 11 months as compared to other routes considered, and its low 3-month investment cost to set up the route. Also, I recommend implementing new perks for business travelers, including loyalty discounts, Wi-Fi on planes, financial credits, partnering with credit cards to improve the experience of our travelers on our flight. Some risks to implementing this route would be the high competition that would be experienced on this route. So further steps I'd like to look into is what those competitors are on the route from Seattle to Minneapolis, what kind of products and offerings do they have, and whether we can find our niche to ultimately capture a significant portion of that route and ultimately make that payback period of 11 months a reality. So thank you. Okay. Oh, so wait, we have 3 minutes. Yeah, hop back on. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.